Hi, welcome to Local Flavor. I'm Deborah Anderson and I'm here at Aunt Faith's Community Kitchen with Mary Goddard. Now Mary has been a guest on the show before, but we were in her kitchen, so she's learning around this kitchen too.
Yes, I am.
And she is gonna make some tortellini, which I love tortellini, and she put a lot of scary words before it. What were the things you're putting in?
I'm putting in kale,
Uh-huh.
butternut squash, red peppers, nutmeg, white pepper, salt, and garlic.
Okay.
And then the cream part will be the ricotta cheese.
So I'm not a fan of kale. I think last time I could not get that taste out for a long time after I ate it last time. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be saved by the nutmeg.
Oh, it will be saved by the butternut squash, actually.
Okay.
The two combinations make, the kale kind of cuts the sweetness of the butternut squash, and it just makes a beautiful blend
Awesome.
of flavors.
When she called me, she said, I shouldn't have told you it was kale. You would have thought it was spinach, and you love spinach.
That's what I said.
Okay, so let's get started on this.
Okay, I have 4 ounces of kale, and what I did is that I bought fresh kale. I like fresh kale, and it comes with a heavy vein, so I cut the leaves off, and they look like this, and I cut them up a little bit. Then I put them in a pan and cooked the kale down until they were very soft and tender.
In water, or did you do a waterless?
No, I put it in water.
Okay.
And then after I drained the water off, then I put the kale in a nice clean cloth, and I squeezed as much of the excess water out as I could. So it's the same way if you cook fresh spinach, you do the same thing. So, and I cooked 4 ounces of fresh kale, and it came out to 4 ounces of dried kale. So
Now, did you chop it, or do we need to chop it, or
No, this is pretty much how it's going to be.
Okay. Is it dry now?
Yeah. Yes.
Pretty much, yeah. But very soft.
And
Feels
so,
pretty firm.
yes, it is. We could chop this a little bit more, and maybe we should.
Do you want me to get you a cutting board?
Yes, I think we will. The butternut squash, I peel it, core it, cut it in chunks, and then I also cook it until it's just tender.
Do you want me to cut it for you while you
Sure.
talk about the squash?
And so this is a cup of butternut squash, so it's 1/2 cup of kale to 1 cup of butternut squash, and I'm just going to go ahead and put this in.
Now, did the squash come out of the pan like that, or did you say you had mashed it?
Yes, I mashed it. It was a fresh butternut squash. I peeled it and cooked it fresh. I like fresh food. I like to do that, and that's why I do the kale. I think you can buy things frozen, and that's fine, especially if you're in the winter time. But if I can get something fresh, I'll get it fresh. So that is the butternut squash, and then we're going to put in some red pepper. Red pepper gives it a flavor and also gives it color. So it's going to be such beautiful color inside of these tortellinis. And that was 1/4 of a red pepper that I peeled and chopped and cooked.
Now, how did you cook that? Did you boil it, or did you?
I put it in the microwave, and I put about a teaspoon of butter in with it, and just put it on low, and it just cooked down very fast.
You ready for this kale?
Yes,
Are
yeah.
you tired of waiting on it?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
There you have it.
Okay. So we'll put the kale in, the dastardly kale.
I was crushed when you said kale. Because the last thing you made had spinach and beef in it, and it was so good. So if it's going to be like the spinach, I will love it.
Okay, I'm going to put a large clove of garlic. If it says put in 1 clove of garlic, you better take a look at your garlic cloves, because you can have a little tiny clove of garlic, or you can have a nice jumbo size of garlic. This particular piece I had even cut in half. So I'm putting in a large clove of garlic in this.
Now, what if you don't have garlic, or what if you don't keep it on hand? What should you do?
Should go and buy it.
Go and buy it. Don't substitute garlic salt, garlic powder. What about the stuff in the jar that's just minced?
The minced you have to remember, and that's generally packed in olive oil or water, and that's fine. It's just that, and it generally keeps its flavor. I find, though, that garlic that has been crushed sometimes becomes a little bit stronger while it's in there. So,
minced in the jar.
Yeah, but it's fine. Much better than garlic salt or powdered garlic.
Yuck.
Powdered garlic to me has a very bitter taste. So here we go. We're going to put that in there like that. Then I'm going to take the salt and the white pepper, and you can use black pepper. However, this has, you'll see the pepper granules, and I prefer to have it white, so you don't see that. And then this is a scant fourth of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And
Show them how you got this. She really ground it.
Yes, this is a little grinder, and I got this from a friend, and I love it because I used to have to grate my my nutmeg. So now I can pretty much just grind this up, and it's very nice and fine. It's all uniform, and so I love this.
She thinks it's a salesman's sample from back in the day. It's a little antique.
Yes.
Show us the nutmeg piece too that you're. Can you go clear to? Because I just got my first fresh nutmeg nuts instead of powdered, and I just wondered, can you go all the way through it?
Yes, you go the nutmeg. You use everything of the nutmeg.
Okay.
And so see how nice that just fits right down in there? And then this has a little spring, and then you push it down, and there's a little tab there. And then you just grate it. Perfect.
I love it.
So
I've never seen one.
I like to mix my spices together like this. I smell that. Just smell that.
I really love nutmeg.
Yes.
So.
It smells so good. And that will go in.
And you only always need a little of nutmeg. I love nutmeg and stuff. So then when some fell out of the grinder, I went to taste it, and it's pretty strong. I would put it in something. No nutmeg snack.
So before I put in the ricotta cheese, I'm going to go ahead and mix this up by hand. I like to do that and squash it in and press it down so we get all the flavors together first. I'm a hairdresser, and when you mix up hair color, you try, if you have 2 or 3 different tubes of hair color, you squeeze out the amount, and then you must mix those hair colors together, because then you get a more beautiful color, a more even color. And then you add your peroxide, just in case for all you people who color your hair. But I do the same thing with this. I want to get everything mixed up, and it's all pretty much mixed together.
We're going to put this whole tub in.
Yes, we are. This is 15 ounces of ricotta cheese, and so we're going to put it in. Now, ricotta cheese doesn't have any salt in it. So, and I put a teaspoon of salt in this recipe. However, if you don't feel like it's salty enough, you can certainly add. When I'm all done with it, I taste it, and then I determine if I need to have a little bit more salt or a little more shot of nutmeg, if I just need something more.
That's the best way.
Yes, it is.
Well, while she gets this stirred up, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll roll out the pasta and start making tortellini.
Seems like the world is always changing, and like the weather in Kansas, change is inevitable. Mobile technology improves the lives of everyone, not just those living in a city. Nex-Tech Wireless is right there with you, providing expanded LTE coverage for everything from phones to farm equipment. We are devoted to help Kansas work smarter and live better. Nex-Tech Wireless. Time for something different.
At Rogers & Associates Insurance, we serve the Midwest. We offer home, auto, commercial, and farm insurance policies and provide solid options for life and health insurance. For those unexpected life events like hail, wind, deer crashes, fender benders, and the little things in between, we can help you ensure what matters most in your life. Let us help you design a plan that meets your needs and budget. Visit us online or call us at 1-800-569-0118 to learn more.
Welcome back to Local Flavor. We have finished mixing the ricotta mixture and all the veggies, and we used the KitchenAid. What speed did you have it on?
I put it on low because I do not want it totally broken down. So I put it on low. I just wanted the ingredients to mix together. And if you look at it, you can see how beautiful it is and how you can see the red pepper, the kale, the butternut squash. It's all in there. And it will just be delicious once it's in the pasta.
We already tasted it. It was delicious. So I did like it, even with kale. So I'll set this aside, and we're going to work on the pasta. So
this is a roller. It's the attachment to make your pasta. You can make your lasagna noodles with this too.
Now, what kind of KitchenAid does that fit on?
Every KitchenAid.
Every KitchenAid. What, new, old?
Old.
6-quart, 8-quart?
All the attachments are made to fit every KitchenAid. The KitchenAid I'm using is the very first KitchenAid I got.
At home.
Yeah, it's at home, and it's about 25 years old. And it fits. And my new KitchenAid is a red KitchenAid, and so sometimes I have them both going. Actually.
What color's your original? White?
White. Mm-hmm. So
they've gotten real creative with the colors now.
This has a dial on it, and it is. I'm sorry. I just want to show them one something. So it will determine the width of your pasta. If you want it a thick noodle or a thick pasta, right down to almost a translucent pasta. And so it goes from 1 to 8.
1 is the widest.
1 is the thickest, yes. So I'm going to put that back in there.
Well, now you're going to be sorry.
Oh, I'm not. Hold on a minute. There we go. And there's a little tab here, and that little black tab has to go in there like that. And then you pull it up. So now I have 2 pieces of dough here, and I told Deb I would like to talk about that a little bit because they look the same, but they are different. The tortellini, when I was in Italy, we went to the town that is famous for their tortellinis. And you could pick up that, and you could almost see your hand through it. The pasta was so delicate. And I thought, they have to do something different in order to get that pasta to be that thin and hold together. Well, the ingredient, of course, after you think about it, was olive oil. This pasta is for noodles, and it is without any olive oil. It is just egg and flour. And so this would be 2 cups of flour and 4 eggs. And it's the same with this if you're going to make a batch of pasta. Of course, we've used some of it, so the portion is much bigger than this. And this is 2 cups of flour, 4 eggs, and 2 teaspoons of olive oil.
So just a tiny bit.
Tiny bit, but look at the flexibility you have in it. When you do this, see how that breaks up? But this one is much more elastic.
So that's how they got it so thin without it
without it cracking.
Mm-hmm.
and popping open when it's cooking. The other thing about pasta is that you can make it and freeze it. You can make ravioli, and you can freeze your raviolis. You'll be able to freeze your tortellinis. So it's not like you have to go through this every time you want a tortellini or a ravioli or a lasagna noodle. You make them, freeze them, And when the company comes and you don't have anything to eat, you do have something to eat, and it's down in your freezer. So I'm going to just simply use all of this. I didn't think, we don't have a rolling pin, do we?
Yeah,
might.
we do. I'll get it.
I'm just going to get
Go
a little
ahead.
rolling pin. And I always have plenty of flour. Flour is good. I want flour on my counter because, especially with this dough,
It's
It's
community
softer.
kitchen size.
boy,
Everything here is really big.
yes, I'm sorry. I just flattened that down a little bit because we're going to start on number 1, which will be the widest roller for noodle. Here we go. I'm going to start this out just a little bit slow. And then I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Here we go.
So fun.
Then I'm
Now,
going-
can you put it through too many times? Will it dry it out, or does it get even more smooth the more you go?
Well, oftentimes I go through the same one twice. Okay, you see this here and you see this here? I don't want it like that. So we're going to go back through it again.
Yeah, I do the same, and I think it gets more smooth.
Well,
I mean,
it
not
does.
just the shape, but even the pasta seems more flexible.
Yes, because it's like when you knead dough. You know, it's the same thing. So we're going to go to 3. For the excuse me. Can I turn this off for a minute? I just need to tell you something.
Okay.
For the tortellini, you want it as thin as possible because as thin as you possibly can do it and have it hold together. So that doesn't mean the thinnest. It just means you want a nice thin dough.
Let's see.
I really believe, after being in Italy as often as I have been, it's not necessarily about the dough, it's about the filling. But the lightness of that dough was incredible, and it was so delicious. So I just wanted to.
So will it vary maybe from batch to batch depending on how your pasta holds?
Sure, it depends upon, if I was making ravioli, I wouldn't make it this thin. But I'm making tortellini, which is much smaller than ravioli. So.
Look how it's getting smoother and smoother.
Now I put flour in between after I do it a couple times, I add flour. I do not want it to stick to the roller. Not a good idea at all.
Because you can't stick those in the dishwasher.
No, you do not stick them in the dishwasher. They come with a little brush and you just clean them out. If you immerse it in water, you'll have rollers that are fused together, because that will not be a good thing.
Ooh, it's getting nice and thin.
Okay,
Look how straight she gets them. Those are beautiful.
we're on a level 6 right now. And see, you can see how translucent it's becoming, and look how elastic it is. You can tie that in a knot. We're going to have one more
You're going to go
setting.
to 7?
I'm going to go to a 7.
Let's see.
We're done with that.
It looks like the belt on that thing that Richie Rich's mom used. Remember? That went
Oh, yeah.
in the cartoon.
Okay, we're going to
Okay.
put a little bit more.
So do you feel like, do we need to take a break now, or are
Yeah,
we ready
we can take
to?
a break because I want this dough to rest a little bit. It has a little stickiness to it, but if you let it rest a little bit, then when you go to cut it, it will not, it's less likely, it's less likely to stick to your cutter. And may I just tell them a little bit about this real quick? This is one of the best ravioli cutters I've ever had in my life. It has 2 cutters on clamps on each side, but in the middle is a disc that cuts the noodle as it seals it. So you're cutting and sealing at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's let this rest. We'll stuff them and cook them and give them a taste when we come back.
A step towards better health.
At High Plains Podiatry, the team's greatest joy is seeing you doing what you love to do. Dr. Rob Hens addresses all problems of the foot and ankle with leading-edge capabilities. They travel extensively, serving in satellite clinics near you. Their growth in Southwest Nebraska is a direct result of the caring and personal treatment they give their patients. Let High Plains Podiatry bring the pep back in your step. Now seeing patients in Norton and Colby, Kansas. Call today, 877-345-3668.
Okay, so you've got that cut in half now. It
Yes.
looks just about perfect.
Right.
And I like tortellini, but I don't know how to roll them or how they get them in that shape. Will you show us?
Well, they have 2 different types. You can have one that looks like a little cap, and then you make squares, and then you fold them over and then twist them around your finger. I'm going to make the little square tortellinis.
Okay,
So,
more like a ravioli kind of shape?
yes, exactly, but much smaller. So it's hard to have a spoon and dip it out and put it on the pasta because you do not get the same size when you do this so small. So I just put my filling inside of these little cookie press things,
Okay.
or whatever if you're doing frosting, and it works like a champ. So I just am going to start right there.
Little tiny.
Get them close together.
Do you have any trouble since we left so much definition in the innards of it?
I have a very wide
Okay.
nozzle there, so. And see, you can see all the different flavors, all the different ingredients. So it's kind of like the ricotta cheese, just holds everything all together.
I'm glad you added the red pepper. I think that
Yeah.
makes it special.
I made some last night and I added red pepper and I go, oh gee, when Christmas that should have been in the recipe. But that's another thing about Italian cooking. You know, if you want to make ravioli or any these, look and see what's in your refrigerator that you have just a little bit of, like a half an onion and maybe a green pepper or something. Just create your own recipe.
What's that book you talk about sometimes? I don't need it. You have a cookbook named I Don't Need a Cookbook
no,
or something?
I have an apron that says, I don't need a recipe, I'm Italian.
Oh, okay. Apron, okay.
And to that point, when I was with my Nonna Berzali, she had, we were, my sister Fran and I, and of course Fran's had two cookbooks under her belt, but we weren't always there together. Matter of fact, I would spend every summer at my Nonna Berzali's. And so we were making ravioli one day, and I wrote down the recipe, and she told me exactly how to do it. And so years later, my sister and I were talking about Nonna's recipes. And I said, well, I have her ravioli recipe. And I said, well, I have it too. And so we got them out, and they were totally different. And the reason why they were totally different is because, of course, the ravioli that I made was what she had in the refrigerator that day, and the same with my sister Fran. Okay, so I just put a cap on this now. You try and get it as even as you can. And then you can see the little humps, and what I just do is I just go down here, and I just kind of outline it. And so, and that helps to get the air out of it too. This is the very hardest part of the recipe. Right here is the most intense part of the recipe, which isn't intense at all.
Getting them right.
Yes, so here I go with my handy dandy ravioli cutter. And I just kind of, as I go, I hold that down. I'm going to have to fudge a little bit here,
Okay.
and that's okay.
I guess. Now, do you do anything with the leftovers?
Absolutely, these will make wonderful noodles and soup, or,
I love how she throws nothing away. Nothing.
you know,
She'll freeze a little tiny piece of.
I do. And it has saved me many a times.
And so many of the ingredients, well, they're so versatile, but so many of them have the same things. You can save it. I mean, it's not like it'll
Right.
ruin the next, because you get to
That's right.
improvise anyway.
So we're gonna go right down the middle here, and I go along and make sure that I'm following a straight line of sorts.
You know, that is so thin. I can see pieces of kale. I mean, I can see
Yes.
the green kale through
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. This is a beautiful recipe because you know, my nonna always said, you feed the eye before you feed the mouth. And I think that that is true. We love beautiful colors, and Italian cooking is full of beautiful colors.
It is. So will we let these rest a while, or will they go straight into the pot?
You can do whatever you want to. They can go. You can just immediately put them in the water, and we'll boil them and eat them. You can freeze them, and if you freeze them, what you would do after you cut them, you put them on a cookie sheet with flour, and have them all separated. And then when they're dry, or when they're frozen, you just put them in a bag. Just dump them all in a bag. You've have seen stuffed pasta in bags before at the grocery store on the shelves, actually.
Okay, so
Same.
let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll decide how many of these we're going to cook and how many we're going to freeze. And when we come back, we'll sauce them up and taste them.
What a girl wants in her home kitchen. Ease of use, flexibility, fun, the latest kitchen design, Frigidaire Professional real stainless steel for fewer finger smudges, a French door refrigerator, convection cooking, and quiet dishwasher. Have the staff at Genuine Appliance in Hayes demonstrate new Frigidaire gallery appliances to find what you want. Genuine Appliance at 1224 East 27th Street in Hayes. Everything a girl wants.
Okay, so we have cooked our tortellinis, and it only took about, well, we thought it would take 5 minutes, but I think it was less than that.
I think it was less, maybe about 3.
Because the pasta's already pliable, so that's the main thing. And I know that, Mary, you keep a lot of sauces on hand at all times, so she's let me try it with some sage butter and some marinara and some bechamel. So I get to try all the sauces. And tell us where you get that sage.
I grow it. It's an Italian sage, and I just grow it in my backyard, and it comes back every year.
I have always loved your bechamel so much.
Thank you.
As soon as I tasted it, I went, oh yeah, I remember this.
Yes.
I'm eating kale. Someone write the press.
I told you.
So far, bechamel my favorite, but I love the butter and sage too. But I haven't tasted it this time. And she put a little Parmesan cheese on top.
Yes, a little Parmesan cheese.
That is unbeatable.
Which one?
And there is a little bit of sweetness in that butternut squash. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
I am surprised. I'm grateful for you coming. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. I love to cook.
And thank you for joining us on Local Flavor.